Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline right here at e-Trailer, and this is going to be everything you'll need to know about your Let's Go Aero TriQuad rack before you drive away. Now, my aunt actually got a trike for health reasons, and we're looking into ways that she can transport the trike all by herself. And this is the rack that fit her needs. Now, transporting the trike or the quad is straightforward. You may not know though, there's a bunch of different extra features to this rack just to help you along the way. So we're gonna go over each of those features so that you are not missing out. We're gonna go through things like how this slides out so that you can get more access to your cargo space, how this folds up when it's not in use, how you have different features to it like ramps or locks just to help you out on your adventure. And we'll also talk about if this was a good fit for your vehicle as well as your different trikes and quads. And finally, you'll get my personal experience of what I think about this rack. So if you're ready, I'm ready, let's get started. To have all the features that this rack has, it's gotta be large and it's gotta be heavy. This weighs 80 pounds on its own, but it also has a weight capacity of 80 pounds, which is great for your trikes or your quads, even your electric ones. So as we go through those different features, keep in mind that it is gonna be hefty and there might be a little bit of lifting, hoisting, pushing around if you want those features. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this out. This extends out if you want access to your cargo area. So whether you're lowering your tailgate on your truck or opening up your hatch on your SUV, all those things are still possible when you slide this out. It starts with this silent hitch pin. So this is a threaded bolt, which is what secures both your bike rack to your vehicle as well as the slide out function. So you're gonna have these keys which unlock those different pins, and then you're just going to loosen this to remove it. And now I can slide this out on its twin tube. Now, I'm 5 feet and I'm not the strongest when it comes to lifting and pushing. This has those tubes where you apply wax to make sure that it's lubricated to make it easy to slide in and out, but still I have to lift up a little bit on the rack and then pull out, where if I had a heavy bike, that might be a little trickier. So it's still doable, just not the easiest. This allows you to slide this really far out though. You have a safety cable that prevents overextension, and you now have all this space for if you need to open up your hatch or lower your tailgate. So even those large SUVs or those large trucks, you're gonna be fine. And this is gonna be helpful when you need to do things like get items out of your truck bed, or if you're the type to hang out on your tailgate. Maybe you're just like changing your shoes or grabbing a helmet or grabbing a bag. If you needed more space, you can always push this out even further. And this really just opens up those opportunities. This twin tube design is something that Let's Go Aero has always had on all of their different heavy duty carriers. Once you're into place, then you just go ahead and put that pin back in. If you're looking at the TriQuad HD, which is the same as this but with your HD trays, that will function the exact same way, but it will have some heavier duty trays, giving it a higher weight capacity of up to 150 pounds. To bring it back in, you just need to slide the twin tubes in and then secure everything again with your silent hitch pin. This twin tube design is something that Let's Go Aero has always had with their heavy duty racks. Speaking of heavy duty, TriQuad HD is the same as this. If you find that you actually need even more weight capacity than the 80 pounds, then you can always get the upgrade kit, which has heavier duty trays and will increase your weight capacity to 150 pounds for you. To help with carrying around those extra heavy trikes and quads, you have ramps so that instead of having to hoist the trike up, you can just ramp it up. These ramps are secured to the bike rack. The ramps are nested up against your trays and secured with straps. This is usually the part that confuses a lot of people because the straps, if not done properly, give a fair amount of wobble of the ramp. So I recommend running the strap through one of the openings inside the ramp and then going around your tray, and then that will get you a really secure feel. And we're just going to take off all 4 straps so that we can set this up. The ramps have tabs at the end that fit into the slots at the end of your trays. Your ramps can technically be used on either side of your bike rack, which is helpful if you're parked in an awkward spot that only one side is open, but the best experience is really going to be this way by your front wheel. And that's because you still will have to lift that front wheel in order to unload your trike. So holding that wheel up, supporting it as we go down until we get a good distance enough where I can drop the wheel and not hit my chain. So from here, I just ramp the entire thing down. It's going to be the same process if you were to load this up. Yes, there is a little bit of lifting, but let's say you have an electric trike. Oftentimes the motor is there in the back, and that is going to be the heaviest part. So this process here will still be easier since you're not lifting the heaviest part of your bike. You can leave the ramps on here if you're just going for a quick bike ride and you're then coming back. But if you're not going for a ride and you want to keep the bike rack and the ramps together, then go ahead and strap everything together. That's something that I really notice a lot with this specific bike rack is I spend a lot of time tightening down small cam straps. Mentioning again that this is a large and heavy rack, it does take up some space behind your vehicle. Now, your vehicle will sit differently compared to other vehicles, so we're going to go for a universal measurement, which is the center of the hitch pin hole on your hitch receiver to the end of the bike rack, and that's going to be 53 inches long. Something to consider if you have a small garage or need to park into a tight spot. But you can make a very quick and easy adjustment by just pulling this lever here and twisting it so it's locked into place. And then from that knob, you then go over to the end of the rack and just hoist up. You're gonna get to about right over here where there will be another knob that you're going to pull and twist. And then you get to push this back into place where twist it right back. It locks and secures your rack in the upright position. Before we were at 53 inches and now we are at 16 inches. Big difference compared to when this was down. And this is how you'll have it if you just want to drive around town and you don't want to take off the bike rack. This is what the rack will look like for all the people and vehicles behind you. Did you know that your bike rack has lights? If you have 4-way wiring, you can use the plug included with this rack, plug that right in, and now as your vehicle lights turn on, so does your bike rack lights, whether you are turning left and using your left blinker or you're hitting the brakes and your brake lights turn on. These are adjustable lights. When you're in the down position, they'll be visible for the cars behind you, and when you have it in the up position, you just turn that over and they're visible in the compact position too. And those are going to be the overall helpful features of the bike rack. The next question is, will this fit on your vehicle? The first thing you want to look at is your trailer hitch receiver. You want a 2-inch square tube, and it will have to have a good amount of weight capacity. If the bike rack itself starts at 80 pounds dry empty weight, and then you get another bike that's 80 pounds, that's going to be a lot of weight weighing down on your hitch. And if you're not sure what your hitch options are, well, you can always reach out to us here at e-Trailer, where you can find out what your custom fit hitch is for your vehicle. And then after that, if you want to utilize that wiring I was just talking about, we also have vehicle wiring harnesses if you don't already have one. When I first saw this bike rack, my first impression was, this is big, it's heavy, and it's kind of clunky. But as I started using it, I realized that it really has a purpose. Now, when my aunt had to get a trike because she needed some exercise and her balance wasn't the best, we were really struggling with trying to figure out how to transport this large trike where she wouldn't need someone helping her all the time. And this was the solution to what she was looking for. It had everything she needed: the weight capacity for her heavy trike, the ramps that allowed her to ramp it up all by herself, and she was able to transport this large and hefty thing. So rather than having to worry about how she was going to get there, she could just focus on actually going for a ride and having a great time. If you've seen Let's Go Aero's products, this is a great example of one of them, where they seem large and clunky at first, but you realize that they are offering solutions for niche markets. Everyone has a 2-bike platform rack, but not everyone has a trike platform rack, and this does it really well. Hopefully this video helped you out with just seeing how this all works. There's a lot of hidden functions to this rack that I want to make sure that you are aware of before you drive off and away. While the Let's Go Aero TriQuad is definitely the bike rack that can be adjusted for bikes of different shapes and sizes, please double check your bike's measurements before proceeding. When we went to the bike shop, they said that our trike here was probably one of the longest trike wheelbases that they've seen. And we saw it on this rack that it actually worked really well. So chances are your recumbent bike, your trike, your quad bike is going to be totally fine. But double check that wheelbase as well as the wheelbase distance from tire to tire. Those are going to be very helpful as you set this rack up. Now, we're not going to assemble this bike rack in this video today. Let's Go Aero does have some pretty in-depth instructions that come along with their bike rack that should be helpful for you. The good news is that as you set this up, you are able to make those adjustments for those longer and heavier bikes. It will take time, but that's been a lot of what this bike rack is about. It takes time, but it's very functional. If you have any questions, or maybe if you want any advice as you go through this process, or if you end up with a really cool setup for your bike, I'd love to see it. Other people can get inspired by your rig too if you just share your story right here at eTrailer. But today, this was a look at the Let's Go Aero TriQuad rack at etrailer.com. My name is Evangeline. I hope you enjoyed this journey.